Hi everyone, it's your girl Shanice. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and you can also turn on your bell so you get notified every time I make a new video. Alright, so today we're going to talk about a new Netflix Korean drama. Now, this one is called The East Palace and it is only 8 episodes, okay? So you are able to just binge it all in one sitting, which, as you all know, is the perfect way for me to do it. I do like to speed things up a little bit, and this one was one that you could enjoy without even having to speed it up necessarily. I think I only watched it like twice the speed, which is good, all things considered. Now, without spoiling so much, I'll give you a little bit of background on the show. Um, it is starring Nam Joo-hook, which I have missed. Okay, I don't think I'd seen him since like Vigilante, which is I may not have talked about that one, but I can talk about it later. But he's one of the young promising actors that I'd been on the lookout for. And then we also have Ro Yun Soo and Cho Sung Woo, who is just a phenomenal actor. And I have just been waiting for what else he would do. I think the last one I enjoyed him in was Stranger or Secret Forest, depending on where you're watching it. And they have 2 seasons of that. Season 1 was impeccable. So it was really good seeing him in here. I'm not gonna lie, like every time I see him, I always know he's gonna play a very complex character, which is how I'm somehow able to kind of predict where a Korean drama is gonna go, is because I kind of know by now what type of characters the actors and actresses get to play in. Now, this show really is one of those supernatural ones where the spiritual rules the physical, which we know is like biblical, right? But ultimately, the crown prince, multiple crown princes have died, and the king brings in a guy who is able to see and interact with the spiritual realm to address this problem, because the remaining crown prince is now in a state where his life is on the balance. And so along with this seer of the supernatural, he also assigns his daughter, who happens to be able to hear spirits, and task them with getting rid of whatever is going on in the East Palace. So what do I think of this one? First off, if you are not into like ghosts and that kind of genre, then this is probably not for you. However, I do think this is one of those that is worth the watch if you are able to stomach that kind of thing. It's not really scary. At least I didn't think so, but I'm not the best gauge of something like that because I don't really find anything scary. But I think there's a lot of biblical aspects. Like as I was watching, I was just like, watching with my Christian mindset. And I was just thinking of, how that the Bible tells us the spiritual really controls the physical. And this drama shows that. Of course, none of the characters are Christian, right? But you kind of see them struggle with their different gods and the shamanism and all these different things, and just seeing how everything that they did in the spiritual had an immediate effect in the physical. Of course, sometimes it's not in the real world, it's not as immediate, right? But we know that this is really how the world works. So it was really interesting, and I felt like the graphics lended to the show a lot. Like I was actually pretty impressed with it. The only thing that I felt like I would want changed, I was not a big fan of like the sound effects, especially when they fought. It may just be me, but if you watched it, let me know. That it's so nitpicky and random, but it just threw me off every time I would hear certain noises as they're fighting. I was just like, what is happening? But that nitpicky thing is genuinely like the only bad thing I would say, as far as the show it's concerned. It is one of those shows that is very almost shonen like, you know, where romance is not really focused on. It seems like they kind of want you to have a second season of it. It's one of those things where it's very Netflix or Americanized, and I will give them this, like Wonderfuls. It can have a second season, but they ended it well enough that it's just like, okay, if that's the only thing I watch from this, I'm okay, you know? So I think the characters, like the main leads, they had a good chemistry. I'm always you know, I always want to put in as much romance, but I think that the way they carried it out, especially given the time frame of the show, it made sense that what we got was what we got. But I still think, you know, it's what to watch, and it's a sleeper hit, I think. If it, you know, it's a genre that's not as popular as the romance one, right? It's not as popular as rom-coms. However, I do think if you give it a try, you'd be able to see why it's like an entertaining watch. And all the episodes came out at once, so they're all right there for you. Let me know in the comments if you watched it and what you think. Was I being fair? Do you feel like I was being too hard or too easy on the show? Let me know. Like I said, I am a fan of, and I use the word fan, but I just genuinely admire the acting abilities of almost every actor in there. I was shocked by how many great cast members they had in here. I like even the kid actors were so good at their craft. So I was very impressed by the acting in this one. And you know, even just like I said, the way everything worked out, I think it was done well. Obviously, I don't want another season unless it's gonna be better. Like, and even then, if you're gonna do multiple seasons, please, I can't rant about it enough, but bring it out in a timely way and like actually plan for it from the start. I know that's not how Hollywood and the you know, the movie world works, but that's my own personal wish. But yeah, let me know what you think. I'll see you guys soon. I love you and God bless you. Bye.